I love movies. Gosh, I love movies. I love watching them, and I love making them.
What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. It's 2021, and we have a Matrix movie. Life is crazy. We're going to talk about it today. Spoiler free. Let me know down below, are you watching The Matrix Resurrections this week or weekend? And are you excited for this fourth film? Let's get into it. So in The Matrix Resurrections, we return to a world of two realities. One, everyday life. The other, what lies behind it. To find out if his reality is a construct, to truly know himself, Mr. Anderson will have to choose to follow the White Rabbit once more. Alright, so just going into this movie following kind of the talk, what this film was going to be, almost like what The Force Awakens was all the way back in 2015. Nostalgia bait, revisiting what once gave us all the feels, and that first Matrix movie, I mean, for its time, and I don't have to repeat this, you've heard this 1,000 times, it changed the game. It was revolutionary. Yeah, you guys know this, but there's not much more you can do at this point in 2021 to make a Matrix movie stand out from the crowd as, oh my god, we've almost been able to do what that first Matrix movie did. But speaking of that, what this film I thought was going to do was do what that first Matrix movie did, and in its own very special and self-aware way, at least in the first half of this film, it does absolutely that. But it's less so repeating the same story beats and giving us the same characters. Okay, I guess in a way it does that. It's more so showing the audience, hey, look at The Matrix, the entire trilogy. Isn't that just the coolest thing ever? I mean, we're talking to the point where they're showing us scenes from The Matrix. Now, it works in its own way within the film, but just me telling you this, you may be thinking, oh, this is definitely going to be doing that, when in its own way, it's doing a mix of that and something different, something meta, something that I did not expect at all going into this movie. I'm going to take this off because the reflection, you could probably see the camera. Is it nice? And everything that I just said is just my own special way of saying I didn't expect the first half of this movie to play out like it did. Now, it was great to see Keanu back as Neo. It was great to see characters that we love, like Trinity. But we're also getting characters that we love played by different actors to kind of reshape what we know about the story as a whole. Now, I want to make sure I say this because it's common knowledge for those who have seen the trailers. It's in the marketing, but for those who haven't, maybe skip like a minute and I'll see in the future. But I do want to talk about Yahya Abdul-Mateen as Morpheus, and I do want to talk about Jonathan Groff as Agent Smith. Yahya is a top-tier actor. We all know this. And as this version of Morpheus that we're seeing, I actually think he does a really good job. But the way that the character is constructed in the film, I felt as if that character, the character of Morpheus, wasn't as necessary as they made it seem like it would be. And there are things about this character that are just very confusing. And that's one major criticism I can say about the movie in its entirety. At least the way they're getting back into things is certain elements are confusing. And I said this when I tweeted out my thoughts. I may have to go back and watch this one or two more times just to grasp the reality, pun, because it's The Matrix, of what's going on, because there's a lot here. And I don't know whether to use the word complexity or use the word convoluted, but whatever it was intriguing. But going back to my point that I just don't know if that character was necessary, and if you're going to bring us Morpheus, well, why not just bring us Morpheus instead of this crazy version that we get? Then Jonathan Groff as Agent Smith. And, you know, a lot of people are going to tell you that he just doesn't fit what Hugo Weaving is doing. And Hugo Weaving absolutely does it better, 100%. But Jonathan Groff actually does a pretty good job for some reason, and I don't know why. I was kind of intimidated by his character. I just think the guy is a really good actor, so I don't want to say he nailed the role. No one's ever going to top Hugo Weaving, that's for sure, but I actually liked his presence in the film. But I do wish his character, there was more of an exploration there instead of showing up and leaving. And I understand Agent Smith, if you look at screen time, wasn't in the movie that much in the first Matrix film, but I wish there was more depth to a lot of these integrations into this plot, because they're trying their best, and I won't say what it is, to rejuvenate this franchise in a way that, again, is unexpected. And it's not like any other blockbuster right now. I know I just said, oh, is this nostalgia bait? Is it redoing? And I guess it kind of is, but it's almost a play on that. It's a play on movies bringing back nostalgia. Even though it's still technically doing it, it's constructing this plot and bringing us back into this world in a way to where I said, okay, well, that's unexpected. And by the time we get into the second half of the film, everything's kind of back to where we thought it would go inevitably, but the build-up to get there was fascinating to me. It was fascinating. Now, tonally, I think this movie is a bit up and down because at times there's this intensity, this seriousness that you're like, okay, let's see what happens next. And then you have things that are so self-aware, so breaking the fourth wall. It almost comes across as comedy instead of this very serious action movie that it's trying to be in this other half. So those two things butt head, and it makes for an uneven experience in the first half. I think the best and most accessible thing about this movie is the relationship between Trinity and Neo, and it almost comes across as a love story in its own interesting way. It's like he will do whatever it takes to get to this end goal that they're going towards. So I love the way that that played, and honestly, that was the best part of the film for me. It takes a bit to get there, and we hit this wall about halfway through the movie to where you get a lot of conversations and kind of, okay, what's going to happen next? And we don't necessarily get there until about 15 minutes later, so it's almost 20 minutes of just, all right, are we going to move forward at this point? But I will admit it does pick back up, and it picks back up with some nice action scenes. Again, we've seen pretty much everything there is to offer, so this isn't revolutionary action, and it's almost hitting on some of the same beats, but I liked some of the action. I was entertained. Here's the best thing I can say about this film. With all of my questions and, okay, how does that work? Why was this the case? I'm not entirely sure what the point of that character was. While I don't believe all of my problems are going to be solved, and this is definitely not a blockbuster that's going to appeal to everyone. I feel like it's going to be divisive because some people are looking for a Matrix sequel that is expected. This is not that. But I will say, I do believe it's going to get better with time because there's so much to the film and there's so many things that I feel like could be at least slightly answered on future rewatches. I'm intrigued. I'm excited to go back and revisit it. But before I give you guys my score, I want to say thank you so much for watching this review. Always so much fun to make. Be sure to drop your thumbs up down below to support this video. And you want to follow me on TikTok, you can. I made one and I'm trying. Don't know how it works. But this movie almost requires a second watch because of the complexity. There are so many unexpected elements at play. While the story is somewhat messy, there are some fascinating moments. The relationship between Neo and Trinity provides the heart, and the score, talking the music in this movie, is excellent. My score is a 70%, even with all of my questions and, okay, why do you have to do that, and make it so evident that, oh, look, it's the Matrix. There's a lot to this movie that I found fascinating, intriguing, and most importantly, unexpected. I didn't expect this movie to play out like it did, so that's a really good thing. I can't wait to see what you guys think down below. Hey, I appreciate you big time for watching. This is a big week because this is the week that I give you guys my best and worst movies of the year. Overall, on Netflix, best TV series, all that stuff. You guys the best. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you very soon in The Matrix.